No compassion. No safe haven. The Serengeti, unhinged with blood and flesh. The strong seize what they need to survive. The cycle of life and death begins again. The savanna never stands still. It is a living entity, forever shifting to the rhythm of the weather. When the first rains of the season descend, the parched earth seems to be granted a miracle of life. Millions of tons of fresh grass surge upward, drawing colossal herds of herbivores from every direction. This is a grand feast, a brief ceasefire where abundance overshadows the ever-present threats. The ungulates seize this precious window to breed, exploiting the shelter of chest-high grasses. Yet behind this prosperity, predatory eyes are watching in silence, waiting for their moment. And then, when shifting winds carry the dry, searing heat, the illusion of peace begins to crack. The sky sheds its cloak of clouds, exposing a sun that scorches without mercy. The once vibrant grasslands wither and turn a sickly yellow, igniting under the equatorial blaze. Water retreats, leaving behind treacherous mud traps and shrinking the living space of every species. The tall curtain of grass that once served as perfect camouflage has vanished, exposing both prey and predator alike. Abundance yields to hunger. Proliferation yields to a brutal war for survival. The herbivores are forced into relentless motion, forming rivers of life flowing through a landscape of death. Now, the advantage no longer belongs to those with the greatest numbers. It belongs to the most patient, the most ruthless. The dry season lays bare the savanna's unforgiving truth. There is no room for error, nor for weakness. In this merciless world, every drop of water is paid for in blood, and every dawn is a new battle. The cheetah, the fastest land animal on Earth, it stands motionless, cold, razor-sharp eyes locked onto the target ahead. Unlike its muscular African relatives, the cheetah possesses an aerodynamic, slender frame only about 1.5 meters long and weighing an average of 45 kilograms. This modest size is a deliberate sacrifice of evolution. Rather than brute strength, they chose to dominate the savanna with wind-shearing speed. In life-or-death pursuits, a cheetah can launch itself at over 110 kilometers per hour, each stride stretching up to 7 meters, transforming it into a lethal blur across the grassland. The cheetah's eyes bear distinctive black streaks running from the inner corners down to the mouth. These dark lines act as natural sunglasses, deflecting the blinding glare of the African sun. An extraordinarily lightweight skeleton, paired with a spine as flexible as a coiled steel spring. Massively expanded nostrils inhale an enormous volume of oxygen in the shortest possible time. Every muscle in the cheetah's body contains an abnormally high proportion of fast-twitch fibers, allowing it to explode to maximum velocity within the very first strides. This system stands ready to pump blood at extreme pressure to every fiber of muscle. The cheetah's claws cannot fully retract. They grip the ground like an athlete's spiked shoes, delivering absolute traction. Hundreds of meters away, a herd of Thompson's gazelles is grazing. The Thompson's gazelle, a small antelope bearing a distinctive black flank stripe, is the cheetah's most favored prey. To survive in a world riddled with danger, they possess razor-keen senses of smell and an exceptional ability to accelerate. Yet at this moment, the entire herd is utterly oblivious to the death approaching in silence. The distance has narrowed to 100 meters. The wind shifts. A gazelle suddenly lifts its head, catching the scent of danger on the breeze. Too late. The cheetah fires forward like an arrow loosed from a bow. Under 3 seconds to hit 100 kilometers per hour. Strides that rip through space itself. The escape attempt ends with a single, lethal leg sweep. Supreme speed, a death sentence that determines who lives. But the engine is overheating, wringing every last beat from the heart. In that moment of utter exhaustion, the proud hunter becomes easy prey for thieves. The cheetah's fatigue is a perfect opportunity for other predators to steal the kill. Supernatural speed allows the cheetah to catch its prey. But it is utterly useless when defending that prize against ferocious rivals like hyenas or lions. To solve this brutal survival equation, some cheetahs have found a new answer. The vast majority of big cats across the world choose a solitary, isolated existence. The female cheetah, the fastest land animal, follows this ancient rule to the letter. She hunts alone in solitude, raises her cubs single-handedly, and relies entirely on her individual survival skills to endure each passing day. But male cheetahs have boldly shattered this rule, one that had stood for millions of years of evolution, to forge an entirely new weapon. That weapon is the coalition, the power of unity. When male cheetahs born of the same litter reach adulthood and leave their mother's group, they do not separate. Instead, they bond tightly into a coordinated fighting unit. The inherent strength of a single individual is now multiplied many times over through relentless cooperation. A solitary cheetah dares only target small, lightweight antelopes, easy to overpower. It must remain vigilant and wary of every faint sound rising from all directions. But a coalition of male cheetahs working in concert can overturn the most fundamental rules of the grassland. They begin to target enormous and dangerous prey that a lone cheetah would never dream of attacking. Today's quarry, an adult wildebeest. A hoofed beast, weighing over 200 kilograms, armed with curved horns as sharp as sickle blades, and a resistance far from trivial. The lead male drops low, the coalition reads the signal. Two flanks fan out, enveloping the prey in silence. Ahead, a golden shadow. Behind, no escape. A single explosive charge rips through the wind. Claws sink deep into the flank. Three bodies converge. 200 kilograms of resistance collapses. prey lies motionless beneath the coalition's combined force. On the Serengeti Savanna, cheetahs do not rely on speed alone. Male coalitions harness collective strength to overturn the harshest rules of survival. In the merciless and brutal world of the Serengeti, where the weak are forever prey to the strong, the steadfast unity of male cheetahs stands as a powerful and compelling testament. The coalition allows cheetahs to bring down prey they once could never have dreamed of reaching. But on the Serengeti, bringing down the kill is only the first half of the battle. The second half, far more ruthless, begins the instant the prey stops breathing. They are still forced to bow and yield before the true rulers of the vast grassland. Yet the wind-shearing speed that helps the cheetah catch its prey cannot help it defend its prize. After every pursuit that drains every ounce of strength, a cheetah needs at least 15 to 20 minutes lying beside the kill, gasping for breath before it can even begin to eat. That brief window of recovery is precisely when the cheetah is at its most vulnerable, exposed in a grassland swarming with enemies. Spotted hyenas, with an extraordinarily keen sense of smell and ears permanently pricked skyward, can detect the commotion of a hunt from kilometers away. They charge toward the sound with bottomless stamina, never needing to be the fastest, only needing to arrive at the exact moment the cheetah is spent. When the hyena's silhouettes appear, the cheetah has virtually no choice but to silently retreat and surrender the kill. Its slender frame, optimized entirely for speed, now becomes a fatal liability, because if a hyena snaps a leg, the cheetah will never run again. A cheetah that cannot run is a cheetah that cannot hunt, and on the Serengeti, that is nothing short of a death sentence. And so the cheetah always chooses to surrender the meal it paid for in sweat and exhaustion, then slips away in silence to seek another chance. On this unforgiving savanna, the fastest is not always the one that gets to eat. Hyenas are the clearest proof of that ruthless law. Not just one, sometimes an entire clan of hyenas arrives at once, encircling the kill and using sheer numbers to force the cheetah to abandon it without resistance. This is not a rare occurrence. Researchers estimate that cheetahs lose roughly 10 to 15% of their kills to hyenas each year on the Serengeti. The cheetah's life is therefore a cruel loop, running itself to exhaustion to bring down prey, then standing helpless as another steals the reward right before its eyes. When the savanna falls silent, the bloodiest hour of the hunt begins. The lion pride wakes as one, stretching and fanning out silently through the tall grass. Unlike most big cats that prefer solitary lives, the lion's most lethal weapon is not its claws or its fangs. It is the power of the pride transforming them into perfect hunting machines. Despite their massive frames, lions can burst to 80 kilometers per hour, yet their stamina drains rapidly, forcing them to stalk and close the distance as much as possible before launching the decisive strike. Ahead of them, the target has appeared a herd of Cape buffalo, muscular juggernauts weighing nearly a ton, armed with lethal horns and an explosively aggressive temperament. Do not let their quiet demeanor deceive you. Cape buffalo possess superb panoramic vision and senses so acute that a single unfamiliar gust of wind is enough to send the entire herd into eruption. Throughout the approach, silence blankets the pride of apex predators. Not a single growl escapes. Communication is now reduced to body language alone, invisible glances, and perfectly positioned cutoff points. The vanguard, the most seasoned hunters, slowly circles behind the buffalo herd, slipping into ambush positions concealed within dense thickets. The others crawl belly flat across the ground, advancing from the opposite side, moving upwind to ensure their scent goes undetected. The distance narrows with every breath. Measured with extreme caution, heat rising from the earth blurs the hunters' outlines, turning them into flickering phantoms drifting through the grass. When the gap is close enough, the lead lioness suddenly surges upright, shattering the stillness with a deep guttural roar that rolls across the savanna. The ambushers erupt from cover, over 160 kilograms of muscle launched airborne, razor-sharp claws driven deep into the buffalo's flank, dragging it crashing to the ground. The buffalo herd explodes into panicked flight, dust billowing across the plain in a blinding cloud. The buffalo's legs buckle beneath it. Claws rip through the hide. Jaws clamp down on the throat like a steel vice. The ribcage swells one final time, then collapses. The body trembles, convulses, then falls still. The savanna goes silent. Only the breathing of the victors remains. Evolutionary weapon, collective strength, and a perfect encirclement strategy. That is the most primal and terrifying weapon the Serengeti has ever forged. The leopard is the big cat with the widest distribution range on Earth. They appear across Africa and Asia, from dense tropical rainforests to the most arid grasslands. An adult male leopard can weigh between 60 and 90 kilograms. Females are considerably smaller, weighing only around 30 to 60 kilograms. Though not the fastest of the big cats, leopards can still burst to 58 kilometers per hour in short sprints to ambush their prey with devastating surprise. They are born loners. Each individual claims and defends its own territory, marking the boundaries meticulously. During the day, they typically rest on sturdy, elevated branches, their bodies draped lazily across the limb as though it were a bed. The rosette-patterned coat on each individual is entirely unique. No two leopards share the same markings, much like human fingerprints. They are the supreme climbers of the cat family, capable of clamping prey heavier than their own body weight in their jaws and hauling it vertically up a tree without slipping. Unlike most big cats, leopards harbor no fear of water whatsoever. They are strong swimmers and will readily wade across rivers and streams whenever the need arises. Their large eyes can see in the dark many times more clearly than human eyes, which is why the vast majority of their activity unfolds after nightfall. Leopards eat virtually anything they can catch, from the smallest prey to species larger than themselves. Being unselective is their secret to survival. A mother leopard typically gives birth to 1 to 3 cubs per litter, raising them single-handedly and constantly relocating her hiding spots to avoid detection by dangerous enemies. Cubs remain at their mother's side for roughly the first 2 years of life, learning essential survival skills before striking out to find territories of their own. Unlike lions, which live in prides, leopards always keep their distance from their own kind. They accept solitude alone and regard their isolation as their greatest survival advantage. An extraordinarily cautious temperament, combined with a secretive and elusive lifestyle, has made the leopard the most difficult big cat to observe anywhere in the world. It is precisely this extraordinary adaptability to every terrain and climate that allows leopards to thrive in places where other big cats vanished long ago. The battle for survival on the Serengeti does not play out only on the ground. The sky, too, has its own supreme ruler. The martial eagle, with a wingspan exceeding 2 meters and the most formidable physique among all African raptors, glides slowly overhead. Its eyes, 8 times sharper than a human's, transform the entire savanna below into a detailed map from which no living creature can escape. Today's target is a savanna monitor lizard, moving sluggishly across the ground, entirely unaware that it has been marked from above. The monitor is prey that fights back. It has thick, armored skin. Sharp claws and a tail powerful enough to lash any attacker with punishing force. But the martial eagle approaches in silence, exploiting the prey's blind spot to close in undetected until the very last second. Talons, nearly 8 centimeters long, pierce through the monitor's thick hide, pinning the prey to the earth with no room to move. The monitor thrashes in resistance with its tail and claws, but every effort is meaningless against the crushing grip descending from above. The eagle holds its pinning stance, patiently waiting until the prey lies completely motionless beneath its talons. From the moment of the dive to the monitor's final breath, it all unfolds in a few lethal seconds. The eagle scans its surroundings in one sweeping glance, then begins tearing into the kill in the open grassland. Nothing dares come near. The martial eagle proves that on the Serengeti, death can arrive from anywhere, even from the clear blue sky overhead. The Nile crocodile existed on this planet long before humankind learned to walk upright. They are the silent witnesses of millions of years of natural history. They are found across Africa, from the upper reaches of the Nile in the north to the tropical swamps of the south. Wherever there is fresh water, there may be crocodiles. Their bodies are encased in layers of thick, overlapping scales like medieval armor, shielding them from nearly every threat. As cold-blooded reptiles, crocodiles depend entirely on the sun to regulate their body temperature, which is why their most familiar image is basking motionless on a riverbank. A crocodile's eyes possess a special reflective membrane that allows them to see clearly in darkness. That is why their eyes glow when a flashlight strikes them at night. Crocodiles can lie submerged for extended periods without needing to breathe. Their patience is the very thing that costs countless animals their lives. They spend the greater part of their existence simply lying still and waiting. Their metabolism is so slow that they can fast for months on end without weakening in the slightest. The female crocodile, surprisingly, is a remarkably devoted mother. She guards her nest for an entire month. And uses that very same terrifying mouth to gently carry her hatchlings down to the water. The bite force of a Nile crocodile ranks among the most powerful in the entire animal kingdom. Yet paradoxically, its jaw-opening muscles are so weak that a simple rubber band can hold its mouth shut. Crocodiles do not chew. They swallow their food whole. Their stomachs contain acid so potent it can dissolve bone, horn, and hoof, leaving nothing behind. Nile crocodiles can live extraordinarily long lives. Some individuals have swum the same stretch of river for close to a century. On land, they appear cumbersome, but in the water, they move with startling speed and fluidity, propelled by a powerful, laterally flattened tail. Among crocodiles sharing the same stretch of river, an unspoken hierarchy always exists. The largest claims the best position and is rarely challenged. Despite their fearsome reputation, crocodiles play an irreplaceable role in the ecosystem. Without them, the balance of Africa's rivers would collapse. But even crocodiles must yield before the hippopotamus. The hippopotamus is one of Africa's largest animals. An adult male can weigh up to 1,800 kilograms and spends the majority of its time submerged in water to keep its body cool. Despite being a strict herbivore, the hippo is regarded as the most dangerous animal on the African continent. They kill more animals than any other large mammal, driven purely by the instinct to protect their territory. The hippo's colossal jaws can gape open to 150 degrees, revealing half-meter-long canine teeth as sharp as blades. Hippos live in groups. Each dominant male commands a stretch of river as his own inviolable territory, a domain no living creature is permitted to enter. On land, they appear ponderous and slow. But underwater, hippos move with a speed and agility that is genuinely astonishing. By day, hippos rest motionless in the water, exposing only their eyes and nostrils above the river's surface, looking as harmless as grey boulders. But that is merely a deceptive facade. Any creature that inadvertently drifts into waters a hippo has claimed can instantly become the target of an eruption of fury. And today, the trespasser is a Nile crocodile. Over 3 meters long, it slips silently from the sandbank into the water and swims directly into territory it does not know is already claimed. The hippo detects it immediately. Bloodshot eyes rise above the waterline, locking onto the approaching silhouette without a single warning. No growl of caution. The hippo charges straight at the crocodile with terrifying velocity. The surface detonates into white water as 1,800 kilograms of muscle slams directly into the intruder. The colossal jaws fly open and crash shut near the crocodile's body. The bite force crushes everything in its path. The crocodile thrashes wildly, its tail whipping the water into an explosion of spray. The hippo lifts the crocodile clear of the surface and slams it back down again and again as though hurling a log. The crocodile fights desperately to wrench free from the lethal jaws. It twists, thrashes, and finally tears loose, then swims upstream in full retreat with every ounce of strength it has left. The hippo pursues for a short distance to ensure the intruder is truly gone, then returns to its position, sinking slowly beneath the surface, as placid as though nothing happened at all. On the Mara River, the crocodile is king of all that swims, but even a king must bow when it strays into a hippo's domain. And finally, there is one species that carries a weapon transcending the boundaries of violence. The African elephant, weighing up to 6 tons, standing over 3.5 meters tall. But its true power does not lie in its size. On the Savanna, nothing is larger, and nothing dares touch it. A trunk containing 40,000 muscle bundles can uproot full-grown trees, the most powerful weapon nature has ever engineered. A pair of tusks, stretching 2 meters long, used to dig earth, strip bark, and when necessary, they become a weapon no living creature wants to face. Those constantly flapping ears are not for leisurely cooling, they regulate body temperature. Hot blood flows through the ears, is cooled by the breeze, then circulates back to sustain the body. The herd is led by the oldest female. The entire family follows without question, because her experience has kept them alive through countless droughts. Elephants communicate through sounds, too low for the human ear, to detect infrasonic signals that travel through the ground for tens of kilometers to summon their kin. The largest terrestrial brain allows elephants to remember the faces of hundreds of individuals, recall routes and water sources across decades, and recognize old companions even after separations spanning many years. Each day, an elephant feeds for 16 hours, consuming hundreds of kilograms of vegetation toppling trees, carving trails, digging wells to reach underground water for the entire savanna to drink. Their skin is 3 centimeters thick, yet sensitive enough to feel an insect crawling on their backs, which is why they bathe in mud every day to protect that delicate hide. Elephants do not run fast, but their footsteps send tremors through the earth, enough for other species to know from a great distance that the colossus is coming. During the dry season, the matriarch leads the herd hundreds of kilometers to a water source she remembers from 30 years ago. That memory is the only thing keeping the entire herd alive. Lions dare not touch an adult elephant. Hyenas keep their distance. Crocodiles look the other way. On the savanna, wherever elephants go, everything yields the path. The elephant's true weapon is not its tusks, not its size. It is a brain that records everything across decades and uses those memories to create life rather than take it. Those memories guide the never-ending migrations. For on the Serengeti, an invisible law has already been written. Stand still, and you go extinct. They must keep walking, chasing the hazy rains hovering on the horizon. And on every parched mile of that journey, one individual's memory becomes the survival compass for an entire generation. Dawn breaks across the East African savanna. The first rays of light pierce the horizon, painting the grasslands in a blaze of amber that stretches as far as the eye can see. Morning dew still clings to every blade of grass. The cool air carries the scent of damp earth, and across the plains, life begins to stir. But beneath the knee-high grass, where the warmth of dawn has not yet reached, a shape lies pressed flat against the ground, utterly motionless. A lioness, her amber eyes unblinking, locked onto a single point ahead. Less than 330 feet away, a herd of Cape buffalo over 400 strong moves, like a living wall of steel across the grassland. Red dust billows behind every footfall. The sound of hooves striking the earth rolls like war drums across the plain. The African Cape buffalo is no easy quarry. Each one weighs nearly 1,800 pounds. Their horns fuse together atop the skull into a solid shield of bone, so dense that even a rifle round struggles to penetrate it. The local people call them the Black Death, the animal that has killed more hunters in Africa than any other. But the pride must eat, and on the Savanna, hunger does not permit cowardice to exist. The lionesses slip from the scrub and fan out in a line, in absolute silence. They move low to the ground, bellies nearly brushing the grass, each paw placed down as though it carries no weight at all. This is not blind instinct, this is strategy, passed down through hundreds of generations. An old bull, standing at the edge of the herd, raises his head. His nostrils flare. He has caught the scent of death. A bellow erupts. The herd closes ranks. Cows are driven to the center. The largest bulls wheel outward horns leveled at the enemy. A defensive formation materializes in under 3 seconds. The lionesses attack. One lioness leaps onto the back of a buffalo that has broken from the herd, her claws sinking deep into the thick hide. The buffalo bucks violently, spinning, trying desperately to throw the attacker from its back. But Cape buffalo never abandon their own. The strongest bulls wheel around, horns lowered, and charge directly at the lioness. The first blow launches her into the air. She hits the ground, rolls twice, then staggers away. The attack has failed. The pride retreats, licking their wounds, eyes still tracking the herd as it recedes into the distance. On the Savanna, victory never belongs to one side forever. A little over a mile away, beneath the sparse canopy of an acacia woodland, another hunter waits with infinite patience. A leopard, draped motionless along a branch roughly 16 feet above the ground, her rosette-dappled coat dissolving perfectly into the dappled light, filtering through the leaves. Below, an impala drinks at the water's edge. The black stripes running down its rump glisten in the early morning sun, the unmistakable markings of the swiftest antelope on the savanna. Its ears rotate ceaselessly. Its short tail flicks without pause. But it never once looks up. A fatal mistake. The leopard drops like a teardrop, forged from steel. No sound. No warning. A single strike, fangs driven with surgical precision into the nape of the prey's neck. It is over, in near-perfect silence. But on the savanna, making the kill is only half the battle. Keeping it that is the true art. The leopard clamps its jaws around the impala carcass, a kill weighing nearly half its own body weight, and begins the arduous climb back up into the tree. Step by step, muscles rippling beneath the spotted coat, claws biting deep into the bark. The meal is hauled aloft and draped neatly across the fork of two branches, beyond the reach of any lion, beyond the reach of any hyena. High above the ground, the leopard begins to feed, alone. As she has eaten every meal of her life, the most solitary cat in all of Africa. But the sun has climbed high now, and from the east, the savanna receives an army of an entirely different kind. A pack of African wild dogs materializes on the horizon, their coats a shimmering patchwork of black, brown, and white beneath the midday sun. No two are alike. Each coat is a fingerprint, unique to its owner. The African wild dog is the most efficient terrestrial predator on Earth. Their success rate stands at 80%, 4 times that of a lion, 10 times that of a leopard. The secret lies in a single word: discipline. They communicate through short, sharp chirps, through the direction of a glance, through the tilt of a head, a language so sophisticated that researchers have spent decades only beginning to decode it. The lead dog gives the signal. The pack splits into 2 groups. The first drives straight ahead. The second sweeps wide in an arc, cutting off the line of retreat. The targeted impala has no chance caught in a pincer movement, exhausted in under 2 minutes. The pack shares the meal. The young eat first. The weakest are given their share. On this merciless savanna, it is the wild dog of all creatures that possesses the most compassionate social order, a lesson that many a more intelligent species has never learned. And then, the sky itself changes. White-backed vultures' wingspans stretching over 6.5 feet spiral on the thermals high above, their eyes sweeping the ground from hundreds of feet in the air. They do not need to rely on scent. They read behavior when a distant flock of vultures begins to descend. That is the only signal required. More than 30 vultures drop onto the remains the wild dog pack has left behind. Their necks are bald, a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering, designed to plunge deep into a carcass without harboring bacteria. Their stomachs contain acid powerful enough to destroy anthrax, cholera pathogens that would kill most other species outright. Vultures are not beautiful. Vultures are not majestic. But without them, the savanna would drown in carrion and disease. They are the silent sanitation corps, ensuring the great engine of the ecosystem never seizes up. But Africa is not the only place on this planet where life is compelled to fight for every second of its existence. Thousands of miles from the East African savanna, beyond oceans and deserts, there exists a place where even the air itself becomes the enemy. The Tibetan Plateau, the roof of the world. Here, oxygen levels drop to just 60% of those found at sea level. Every breath is an effort. Every step costs twice the energy. On an icebound cliff face, at roughly 14,800 feet, a shape appears and vanishes in the blink of an eye. Silver-grey fur merging seamlessly with stone nearly invisible. The snow leopard, the ghost of the Himalayas, the only great cat on Earth to have claimed the roof of the world as its private kingdom. It lies motionless on a rocky ledge, pale green eyes scanning the valley below. In the absolute silence of the Himalayas, survival is decided in a matter of seconds. At roughly 20,000 feet, an altitude where most living creatures on Earth could not survive more than a few hours, an enormous dark shape moves slowly across a snow-covered mountainside. The wild yak, weighing up to 2,600 pounds. This is the largest bovid still living in Asia, and the mammal found at the greatest altitude anywhere on the planet's surface. Its black coat hangs down to the ankles, draping like a heavy curtain over the entire body. This is no decoration, it is a thermal fortress. Beneath the coarse outer guard hairs lies a dense layer of fine undercoat, so efficient at trapping heat that a yak can lie on snow without losing a single degree of body temperature. A yak's lungs are 3 times the size of those of a domestic cow of comparable build. Its red blood cells are smaller but far more numerous, transporting oxygen with remarkable efficiency through air so thin it is suffocating. The curved horns extend over 3 feet in length, sweeping outward on either side before curving skyward. They are not merely weapons, they are symbols of sovereignty on the roof of the world. Mature bulls live solitary lives, or in small bachelor groups, wandering the desolate plateau like kings without thrones, without territories. Only when the mating season arrives in September do they seek out the female herds. The contest for breeding rights plays out in thunderous clashes of horn that echo across the empty plateau. Females and their young live in large herds, sometimes numbering in the hundreds, drifting slowly across alpine meadows, grazing on grass, scrub, moss, and lichen. Their 4-chambered digestive system extracts nourishment from the most impoverished of foods, tough, desiccated grasses that no other domestic livestock would deign to touch. Humans first domesticated the yak at least 2,500 years ago. But that domestication came at a cost. The wild population was pushed ever higher, ever farther, ever deeper into isolation. Today, only 10 to 15,000 wild yak remain across the entire plateau. The IUCN classifies them as vulnerable, just one step from endangered. Poaching, hybridization with domestic yak, and climate change. 3 threats that are slowly strangling the last wild population. A female yak carries her calf for 257 days, nearly 9 months, 1 calf every 2 years. On the roof of the world, reproduction is a long-term investment. The newborn stands within 10 minutes of birth. At this altitude, there is no time for weakness. Those who cannot rise in time will die of exposure before any predator arrives. Each day, the herd covers 2.5 to 3 miles in search of grass. Their hoofprints carve trails across the plateau paths that dozens of other species also depend upon. At around 16,400 feet, alpine meadows stretch to the horizon. And amid the carpet of green, scattered among the broken rock, a tiny creature is ceaselessly at work. The plateau pika, weighing a mere 5 ounces lighter than a mobile phone. They resemble rabbits' round ears, short snout, no tail. But pikas are not rabbits. They belong to an entirely separate evolutionary lineage that diverged millions of years ago. The most extraordinary thing, pikas do not hibernate. Even when temperatures plunge to 22 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, they remain active on the snow-covered ground. The secret lies in their ability to reduce their metabolism by nearly 30% during winter, slowing the heart rate, depressing respiration, conserving every precious calorie. But even with that strategy, winter on the plateau remains a matter of life and death. Food all but disappears. Grass freezes as hard as stone. And so the pika turns to a source of nourishment that no one would expect: yak dung. Scientists have confirmed this through DNA analysis, published in the journal PNAS. This is a direct link connecting the yak at 20,000 feet to the pika at 16,400. When the yak disappears, the pika's winter food supply vanishes with it. But the pika is not merely a victim of winter. It is the primary prey of one of the most remarkable hunters on Earth. The Tibetan fox, owner of the most distinctively square face in the entire canid family, a feature possibly related to aerodynamics or the capacity to store fat in the cheeks. "99% of the Tibetan fox's diet consists of pika, not most of it, virtually all of it. This is absolute dependency, with no contingency plan. When pikas vanish from an area, the Tibetan fox vanishes with them. No exceptions, no plan B. The fox also employs a rather ingenious tactic, following the Tibetan brown bear as it digs into pika burrows. The bear tears open the earth. Pikas panic and bolt, and the fox is waiting outside. Scientists call this commensal behavior, a relationship in which one party benefits without harming the other. The fox gets a free meal, the bear loses nothing. But the pika is not the only small creature on this plateau. At this elevation, there lives another resident, larger, heavier, and asleep for nearly the entire year. Between roughly 11,500 and 16,400 feet, the world transforms completely. Grassland gives way to sheer cliff faces. Wind howls with such force that no tree can take root. This is the kingdom of the snow leopard, the most enigmatic great cat on Earth. A single snow leopard's territory can span anywhere from 5 to nearly 800 square miles. So vast that two snow leopards may live a month's journey apart on foot and never once cross paths. Solitude here is not a choice, it is the law. Their coat is an engineering masterpiece of evolution. In winter, the belly fur grows to nearly 5 inches thick, the densest natural insulation of any cat on Earth. In summer, it recedes to around 2 inches, allowing ventilation for the rigors of mountain climbing. The body self-regulates with the seasons with astonishing precision. The nasal cavity is enlarged larger than that of any other great cat, warming the frigid air before it enters the lungs. At 40 degrees below zero, a temperature identical on both the Fahrenheit and Celsius scales, every unwarmed breath could freeze lung tissue. But the most striking feature of all is the tail. Measuring 31 to 41 inches in length, nearly as long as the entire body. That magnificent, thickly furred tail serves a dual purpose. In motion across cliff faces, it functions as a natural counterbalance. At rest, the snow leopard wraps it around its own face, the warmest scarf on the roof of the world. The snow leopard's paws are unusually broad, dense pads of fur, acting as natural snowshoes, distributing weight evenly across soft snow. They weigh between 50 and 121 pounds, with exceptional males tipping the scales at 165. They can leap 33 to 39 feet horizontally, a single bound that means the difference between life and death. But perhaps the most surprising fact of all the snow leopard rests for up to 18 hours each day. On the roof of the world, energy is more precious than gold. Every calorie is hoarded for a single, decisive pounce. And there is one thing that sets the snow leopard entirely apart within the genus Panthera, the lineage that includes the lion, the tiger, the leopard, and the jaguar. The snow leopard is the only member that cannot roar. Its larynx lacks the ossified hyoid necessary to produce that thunderous sound. Instead, it communicates through hisses, plaintive calls, and a distinctive rumbling purr. The silent ghost. That is not merely a nickname, it is a biological truth. But every ghost needs prey, and on these cliffs, prey does not come easily. The Himalayan blue sheep, the Baral, a mountain ungulate weighing between 77 and 165 pounds, distinguished by its blue-grey coat that renders it virtually invisible against the rock, and smooth, curving horns that sweep outward before hooking back behind the head. The hooves of the Baral are a marvel of biological engineering. The hard outer rim grips rock like steel, while the soft inner core absorbs shock, functioning, in effect, precisely like a pair of professional mountaineering boots. With those remarkable boots, the Baral traverses near vertical cliff faces terrain where any predator must simply stop and stare. The Baharal's defensive strategy is a seamless marriage of camouflage and altitude. They will freeze, melting into the rock face, and if detected, they run upward. Straight up the precipitous cliffs, where the treacherous terrain itself becomes their most dependable ally. The arms race between these two species plays out every single day. The snow leopard stalks the Baharal, detects the Baharal, bolts up the cliff face, and the snow leopard is left with a choice: pursue or wait for another opportunity. Most of the time, the snow leopard chooses to wait. A single misplaced step on a cliff face can inflict a fatal injury, and on the roof of the world, there is no one to administer treatment. They are most active at dusk and dawn, when the Baral move between grazing grounds and resting ledges, and the snow leopard seizes the moment when its prey is at its least vigilant. The mating season is the only time this solitary creature seeks out another of its kind. The female issues a distinctive call that echoes through the valleys, a signal that males can detect from several miles away. They remain together for 2 to 8 days. Then the male departs. From that point forward, every burden of raising the young falls upon the female alone. Gestation lasts 93 to 110 days, surprisingly short for a great cat. Typically, 2 to 3 cubs are born, blind, and weighing less than a pound. The mother raises her cubs for 18 to 22 months. She teaches them to hunt, to climb, to conceal themselves, every skill required to survive on the frozen cliffs. Whatever the snow leopard does not finish will not lie wasted on the mountainside. There are others more patient, more numerous, waiting to claim their share. But before we meet them, we must descend lower still to where one of the most ancient feline lineages on Earth is writing its own story of survival. The Pallas's cat resembles no other cat on the planet. Genetically, this is one of the most ancient of all feline lineages, diverging from the common ancestor of modern cats, approximately 5.9 million years ago. A uniquely compact body and the thickest coat in the entire cat family allow it to thrive in the punishing cold above 16,400 feet across the steppes and rocky highlands. No other cat on Earth possesses so distinctive an appearance. Weighing a mere 5.5 to 10 pounds and measuring just 20 to 26 inches in total length, the Pallas's cat is short-bodied, low-slung, and stout a physique that conserves heat and permits movement through narrow gaps between rocks. Its extraordinarily dense coat shifts color subtly with the season's silvery gray in winter, tawny brown in summer, perfect camouflage against the plateau's backdrop of stone and dried grass. Predator or prey will not see this cat until it is far too late. The Pallas's cat lives alone. On the plateau, food is scarce, and a solitary existence minimizes competition, allowing each individual to make the most of the meager prey scattered across its vast territory. This is not a fast cat. Rather than speed, the Pallas's cat relies on patience, stealth, and that remarkable camouflage to close the distance before delivering a single decisive pounce. Its primary and most vital prey is the pika. The pika, that small, nimble creature living in large colonies within burrow networks honeycombing the steppe. The story of the pika is inseparable from the plateau's ecosystem. They are considered a keystone engineer because of the profound impact their burrow systems have on soil structure and vegetation. Today, pikas are found across the vast expanses of high-altitude steppe and rocky terrain, where they construct elaborate underground cities of astonishing complexity. A single pika weighs just a few ounces, its body round, tailless, with small circular ears. They are intensely vigilant, blessed with extraordinarily acute hearing. In summer, the pika's shrill alarm whistle rings across the valleys the instant danger is detected. They dash for their burrows, remaining hidden until the threat has passed. Pikas are most active in warmer weather, reducing activity during the brutal winter months. The Pallas's cat knows this schedule intimately and typically lies in ambush when the pikas emerge to forage or bask on sun-warmed rocks. The hunt of the Pallas's cat is a masterclass in absolute patience. It presses its body flat against the ground, moves with excruciating slowness, exploiting every boulder, every tuft of grass for concealment, producing virtually no sound whatsoever. No commotion, no haste. Nothing but intense concentration and the ability to remain motionless for hours on end, waiting for the single instant when the prey drops its guard. But on the plateau, a favored prey like the pika is not always easy to catch, particularly when winter drags on and the snow lies deep. When that happens, even the palace's cat must confront hunger or turn to hunting smaller rodents and birds to survive. From the snow leopard's cliffs down to the rocky flats and grasslands of the palace's cat and the pika, the web of life continues to weave itself tighter and tighter. But there is one more, level lower, warmer, greener. Where the air at last grows dense enough for trees to form forests, and within those forests, creatures one would never suspect of being distant relatives share a single kingdom of bamboo. The eastern rim of the plateau, where Tibet meets Sichuan, mixed forests of conifer and broadleaf blanket the mountainsides, from roughly 11,500 feet and below. Beneath the canopy, bamboo grows in dense profusion, a kingdom of green. And at the heart of that bamboo kingdom, a creature beloved by the entire planet sits feeding slowly, serenely, supremely indifferent to everything around it. The giant panda, that iconic coat of black and white, weighing between 154 and 353 pounds. The most famous bear on Earth, and arguably the most peculiar. "99% of its diet is bamboo. Each day, it chews through 26 to 84 pounds of the stuff and devotes 10 to 14 hours to the act of eating alone. The paradox is this: the giant panda's gut is the gut of a carnivore, short, simple, lacking any fermentation chamber. A meat eater that switched to a vegetarian diet and pays the price by eating without ceasing. The giant panda does not hibernate. Bamboo is available year-round. No need to stockpile, no need to economize. A rare privilege on the roof of the world. But the most extraordinary moment of all belongs to reproduction. A newborn panda cub weighs roughly 3.5 ounces, approximately 1/900th the weight of its mother. Born pink, blind, utterly hairless. This is one of the smallest birth weight to mother ratios of any mammal on Earth, a phenomenon that science is still struggling to explain. They may appear ungainly, but giant pandas are surprisingly accomplished climbers. During mating season, as many as 5 males may compete for a single female, and the chase sometimes unfolds high in the treetops. Sharing the bamboo forest with the giant panda is a creature far smaller, yet carrying a title heavier than any accolade. The red panda, the last surviving member of the family Ailuridae, an entire biological family now represented by a single species on the face of the Earth. About the size of a domestic cat, weighing 8 to 14 pounds, its coat blazes like a flame amid the green of the forest. Roughly 60% of its diet consists of bamboo. The remainder is fruit, leaves, and insects. Its long, ringed tail serves the same purpose as the snow leopard's balance when climbing, and a wraparound blanket when the cold descends. Nature repeats its finest solutions. Semi-retractable claws allow the red panda to climb with professional agility, even descending trees head first, a skill that remarkably few mammals can perform. When threatened, they have two options: flee up a tree or rise onto their hind legs, claws extended, appearing far more formidable than their modest size would suggest. Sharing this same forest tier are the Tibetan macaques, the largest species of macaque in the world. A mature male is powerfully built, weighing up to nearly 44 pounds, distinguished by the thick beard and dense mane of fur, framing an unmistakable face. Tibetan macaque society is rigidly hierarchical. The alpha male presides over a troop of 40 to 50 individuals, driving younger males to the periphery, keeping the females close for life. Their most remarkable behavior is known as bridging. Two males lift an infant between them, grooming and nuzzling it. This is not simple affection. It is a sophisticated diplomatic ritual designed to diffuse conflict within the troop. They consume over 100 species of plant, storing food in spacious cheek pouches. When a troop grows too large, a subgroup splits away a survival strategy to prevent excessive competition for food. Even this last green refuge is shrinking. Forests are being felled, and with every tree that falls, everything that lives within loses its only home. Which species do you think is the ultimate survivor on the roof of the world? Let WildVerse know in the comments below. The hunter kills, the prey falls. But the carcass does not rest. High above, a winged army circles, and their stomachs can dissolve even the deadliest of pathogens. To understand the final cycle on the roof of the world, we must look skyward, where wings spanning nearly 10 feet cut silently across the heavens. The Himalayan vulture, a wingspan of 8 to just over 10 feet wider than the height of most professional basketball players on Earth. The anatomy of a vulture is a story of evolution spanning millions of years. The head and neck are completely bare, not from disease, but by deliberate design. Evolution has eliminated feathers from the head and neck so that the vulture can plunge deep inside a carcass without accumulating blood or bacteria. A brutal solution, but a flawless one. The beak tears through flesh and sinew with ease. But the talons are comparatively weak. The vulture cannot hunt live prey. It was born to clean up, not to kill. And the most astonishing secret of all lies in the stomach. A pH approaching 0 acid, so powerful it can dissolve bone. That stomach neutralizes the bacteria responsible for anthrax, botulism, and cholera, lethal pathogens capable of wiping out entire populations if carcasses were left to decompose naturally on the grasslands. The Himalayan vulture is the invisible nurse of the plateau. No medicine, no instruments, armed only with its stomach, it controls disease across thousands of square miles. Breeding takes place on cliff faces above roughly 13,100 feet. Nests are built in peaceful communities, dozens of pairs nesting side by side without conflict. Each pair lays a single egg, thick-shelled, speckled with red. Both parents take turns incubating for 50 to 58 days, never leaving the nest. The chick remains in the nest for 6 months before it learns to fly. Half a year of protection followed by a confrontation with the most unforgiving skies on Earth. A vulture's eyes can detect a carcass from thousands of feet in the air. When one descends, others spot the signal from far away and follow, one by one, a visual network that spans the entire sky. Those wings, spanning nearly 10 feet, ride the rising thermals with barely a single flap. Energy conservation is an art that vultures have perfected over millions of years. On the roof of the world, the scavenger is every bit as vital as the predator. Without vultures, the plateau would become an open-air graveyard, and epidemic would spread with no force on Earth to stop it. But the health of these mountains cannot be measured by predators and scavengers alone. Sometimes, the most accurate indicator of all comes from a small bird wearing the most resplendent plumage in the Himalayas. The Himalayan monal, the national bird of Nepal, a creature that looks as though someone dipped it in a rainbow and set it loose upon the mountains. Iridescent teal, shimmering violet, burnished copper, molten gold, the monal's plumage is not produced by pigment. This is photonic structure at the nanoscale. Light itself scattered through microscopic architectures on every single feather. In other words, the monal does not carry color, it creates color by bending light. A technique that humans have only just begun to understand at the level of advanced materials science. It lives at elevations between roughly 6,900 and 14,800 feet in mixed alpine forests. CITES lists the monal under Appendix 1, the highest level of trade protection on the globe. Each morning, the monal digs through snow and soil in search of roots, tubers, and insects. The act of digging disturbs the ground surface, aerating the soil and promoting the regeneration of vegetation. A quiet forest engineer that rarely receives due credit. The monal's most critical role, however, is as a biological indicator. A stable monal population signals a healthy forest. A declining monal population signals that human pressure has exceeded nature's threshold of tolerance. They are sensitive to the slightest changes, pollution, deforestation, a shifting climate. Long before the naked eye perceives a forest in decline, the monal already knows. When the monal vanishes from a forest, Tibet is whispering a warning, not about the bird, but about the very future of the entire roof of the world. And that warning grows louder with every passing day, because across the plateau, something is changing. Every species can feel it, but no species can stop it. Temperature. The Tibetan plateau is warming at twice the global average. Not 3 times, as some earlier claims suggested, but twice is more than enough to change everything. "45,000 glaciers are retreating year upon year. Scientists estimate that 2/3 of them could vanish entirely before 2050. Alpine grasslands are yielding to sand. Permafrost is thawing, releasing carbon that has been locked away for thousands of years, triggering a positive feedback loop that no earthly force can halt. Tibetan snowpack has been destabilizing since 2008. Models suggest the plateau may be approaching a critical threshold, a tipping point beyond which there is no return. Everything on this planet is connected. Burning a forest in Brazil can kill a pika in Tibet, and when the pika dies, the fox dies, the grasslands die, and the entire roof shudders. Conservation efforts are underway. Wild yak are protected in China. The Riwake Nature Reserve has helped bring the red deer back from the brink of extinction. But are these isolated efforts enough? The roof of the world has stood for millions of years. Whether it stands for 1 century more depends upon what happens far below, very far below. Thank you for joining WildVerse on this journey. Every species on the roof of the world carries within it a story that deserves to be told. If you haven't yet subscribed, now is the perfect moment. We'll see you at the next story. This is Liuwa Plain, 1,300 square miles of floodplain grassland in western Zambia, where every year, desert transforms into a sea of water, then back to desert again. Two seasons, two entirely different worlds, and between them, a survival experiment lasting millions of years, with no guiding hand. What holds this fragile web of life from collapsing when the very ground beneath it changes completely twice each year? Welcome to WildVerse, where we explore the most extraordinary stories the natural world has kept hidden. Before we venture deeper into this land, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a journey with WildVerse. And let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? But to understand Liuwa, you must first meet the species that vanished from it, then returned from nothing. As the first light of dawn touches the tips of the grass, a deep roar rises from the east, carrying across 5 miles of open plain, unstoppable. Lions. For decades, they had vanished from Liuwa. Poaching and illegal hunting in the 1990s wiped out the entire lion population here. By 2002, only a single individual remained. Lady Liuwa, the last lioness. She wandered the empty savanna for years, a solitary figure in a vast landscape where no answering roar ever came. Researchers recounted how she would seek out the glow of human campfires, lying down beside smoldering coals as though the warmth of another species might soothe her loneliness. Her story, brought to the screen by National Geographic in 2010 as The Last Lioness, became a global symbol of ecological loss and of hope. In 2008, African parks began reintroducing lions from Kafue National Park. Lady Liuwa could not bear cubs of her own, but she adopted and helped raise the offspring of the newly arrived females. She passed away in August 2017 at the age of 17. Her legacy, the new pride, lives on. Among them stood Bon Jovi, a striking male with a thick, dark mane named after the legendary rock star. He reclaimed territory, marking the return of the roar to plains that had fallen silent. Though Bon Jovi was later relocated to Kafue due to conflict with local communities, his story proved that nature can recover if humans allow it. Today, more than 20 lions hold stable territories across Liuwa, a living testament to the power of conservation. Lions live in prides, typically 1 or 2 adult males, several related females, and their cubs. They are the only large cat capable of tactical cooperation in both hunting and territorial defense. During the dry season, when the food chain is stretched to its limit, lions rely on pack strength and ambush tactics, especially at waterholes, where thirst dulls the vigilance of prey. A fact rarely mentioned. It is the lionesses who drive every strategic hunt. They coordinate ambushes with near mathematical precision, favoring twilight or early dawn. The males, with their heavy manes, seldom participate directly. Their primary role is territory defense, maintaining bloodlines, and confronting external threats. A thick mane is not merely attractive to females, it serves as a biological shield, protecting the neck during brutal territorial battles. The lion's roar, one of the most iconic sounds of the savanna, carries up to 5 miles, declaring the presence and dominion of the apex predator. Yet, despite this coordination, only 20 to 30% of attacks end in success. Every failure carries consequences. Prolonged starvation threatens the pride, especially cubs too young to participate. But in Liuwa, lions are not the dominant force. With an estimated 200 to 300 individuals, spotted hyenas are the true power of these plains. Contrary to their popular image as scavengers, modern behavioral ecology reveals that over 70% of a spotted hyena's diet comes from prey they hunt themselves. Across many ecosystems, their hunting success rate reaches roughly 1 in 3 equal to or exceeding lions under the same conditions. The secret lies in the jaw. A spotted hyena's bite force is sufficient to crush large bones, horns, even hooves, materials most predators must abandon. The ability to digest nearly the entire carcass, including calcium from bone, makes them the most efficient link in the ecosystem's nutrient recycling chain. Their hunting tactics are remarkably flexible. They can hunt solo, in pairs, or coordinate in small teams of 4 to 6. In special circumstances, such as the wildebeest calving season, dozens converge to apply pressure and fragment herds, isolating the most vulnerable targets. Siege and harassment behavior, particularly frequent in January and February at Liuwa, when conditions favor optimal hunting, attests to their exceptional tactical cooperation. Spotted hyena society follows an absolute matriarchal hierarchy, one of the most complex social ranking systems among mammals. Each clan can number up to 80 individuals. Females hold complete authority. Even the lowest-ranking female outranks the highest-ranking male. Rank is determined not by strength alone, but by lineage. Daughters of high-ranking females automatically inherit privileged status, a form of dynastic power rare in the natural world. Their communication system surpasses that of any other predator, over 11 distinct vocalizations, spanning an impressively broad emotional spectrum. The characteristic laugh signals submission. Moaning and high-pitched calls transmit complex social information across miles of grassland. Spotted hyenas thrive across diverse terrain, from open savanna to sparse woodland, and semi-arid zones active both day and night, each clan's territory extending up to nearly 400 square miles. But even the rulers of the plains must yield to what is coming the dry season. The dry season descends on Liuwa without warning. Water evaporates, earth cracks. The temperatures swing between day and night, climbs to nearly 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And on that scorched earth, a faint paw print barely visible, the sole evidence of the most solitary hunter on the plains. The cheetah, the fastest land animal on Earth. Its body is an engineering masterpiece, 40 million years of evolution sculpted for a single purpose: speed. A long, hyperflexible spine functions like a coiled spring, stretching and compressing with each stride to maximize reach. Long, slender legs operate as precision levers. Semi-retractable claws, unlike any other cats, grip the ground like a sprinter's cleats. This delivers superior traction through every turn and burst of acceleration, each stride a perfect equation of speed and control. "70 miles per hour, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds faster than most supercars on the planet. But that speed exacts a price. Each chase lasts less than a minute and rarely exceeds 1,000 feet. Peak velocity drives body temperature to dangerous thresholds, forcing mandatory rest after every pursuit, regardless of outcome. On its coat, every black spot against tawny fur is unique, like a fingerprint. No two individuals are identical. These markings also aid recognition within small hunting groups across open terrain. The large, rounded ears not only capture distant sounds with remarkable clarity, but also assist in heat dissipation, a vital advantage under Liuwa's scorching sun. Here, only a handful of cheetahs have been recorded. Faint prints in fine dust are sometimes the only proof of their existence. In a landscape of deepening drought and intensifying competition, the cheetah's survival stands as the purest example of specialized evolution where speed and strategy converge into a supreme art. Beneath the cloudless dry season sky, a wingspan exceeding 8 feet glides slowly through scorching air, as though the vastness above were merely a familiar stage for its patrols. The martial eagle, Africa's largest eagle. With a body length approaching 3 feet 8 inches and weight up to 14 pounds, that imposing frame is paired with talon grip strong enough to fracture a human forearm. But its most remarkable feature is not size, it is vision. In the clear conditions of Liuwa's dry season, a martial eagle can detect prey from nearly 4 miles. A detection range virtually unmatched by any other predator in the ecosystem. When the calculation is perfect, it descends in a stoop, reaching 100 miles per hour. 2 feet strike like javelins launched from above, precise and merciless. During the dry season, as prey ranges farther in search of water, the martial eagle extends its hunting territory significantly, flying dozens of miles each day while maintaining cautious distance from human activity. Even atop the aerial food chain, the martial eagle is not immune to extinction. As of the IUCN's 2024 assessment, classified endangered. Causes are multifaceted. Habitat loss from agricultural expansion, collisions with power infrastructure, secondary poisoning from contaminated carcasses, and persecution, often rooted in the mistaken belief they threaten livestock. With slow reproduction and vast territorial needs, even minor environmental changes can carry severe consequences for the species' survival. As the eagle completes its stoop, the grassland sinks into weighted silence. Below, against dried grass stretching to the horizon, a massive form moves with quiet, immovable strength. The African buffalo, weighing up to nearly 2,000 pounds, standing almost 5.5 feet at the shoulder, the embodiment of collective endurance. Curved horns form a solid bone plate called the boss, shielding the skull in combat and becoming lethal weaponry against any natural enemy. Unlike wildebeest or zebra, buffalo do not leave Liuwa seasonally. They move laterally within the landscape from higher ground to wherever fresh grass sprouts after rain. Their routes are guided by accumulated experience and the collective memory of the oldest members, an invisible map, accurate down to every stream. Smell is the critical sense. Buffalo detect water and identify threats from over a mile away, allowing the entire herd to adjust course before danger draws near. Social structure is built on cohesion and tight coordination. Each herd may number from a few dozen to over 300, led by the patience and wisdom of its most senior members. When confronted by danger, they do not scatter. Instead, a living fortress forms. The largest males front the line, shielding females and calves at the center. Multiple cases of lions killed during coordinated counterattacks have been documented, testament to collective power and protective instincts passed through generations. Each adult consumes approximately 33 pounds of dry grass per day, the fuel required to sustain that massive frame. Large-scale grazing controls vegetation height, creating pathways for ground-nesting birds and smaller herbivores. And then, amidst a grassland on the verge of transformation, the first raindrops fall. The wet season arrives, but it brings no safety. It brings an entirely different kind of danger. Water rises. Dry grassland converts into a vast wetland system. And in this half-water, half-land world, one species has been ready all along. The red lechwe born to live between two worlds. With long, narrow hooves, the red lechwe glides through mud with almost surreal lightness, as though its very existence was shaped for this terrain. Dark markings on the forelegs stand out like symbols painted by nature itself, helping individuals recognize each other through mist and the chorus of frogs blanketing the plain. At Liuwa, approximately 700 red lechwe live year-round. Unlike wildebeest, they do not migrate far but adjust position by water level. They advance as fresh grass sprouts at the water's edge, retreating when floods submerge the plains entirely. Adult males stand about 4 feet tall and weigh around 265 pounds. Their coats carry a natural waterproofing oil that maintains body temperature even during hours of immersion in cold floodwaters. When pursued by predators, the entire herd plunges into deep water, a tactic few hunters dare follow. In water, red lechwe move with speed and agility, causing pursuers to lose traction, momentum, or abandon the chase altogether. They rely not on raw speed or brute strength, but on mastery of environment, knowing how to flow with the current, selecting the right grasses, and avoiding treacherous depths. Their peaceful coexistence with zebra and wildebeest, without direct competition, reinforces lechwe's role as an essential link in the wetland ecosystem. They regulate aquatic plant biomass and create safe corridors for water birds. And in the rising muddy waters, from the horizon 45,000 silhouettes slowly materialize. The second largest terrestrial migration in Africa, surpassed only by the millions flowing across the Serengeti and Mara. Wildebeest do not wait for rain to move. They sense the shift before the first storm through moisture in the wind, distant thunder, and subtle changes in the resonance of the earth beneath their hooves. This migration is not a random journey. It is an annual cycle encoded across countless generations. Every strip of land, every patch of grass, every waterhole already remembered by ancestors from millennia past. They traverse waterlogged depressions and cross streams along routes cutting through the Liuwa floodplain. Though shorter than the famous Serengeti migration, the path here is no less perilous. Predators are always watching. The deep, characteristic call of the males carries over a mile, an acoustic signal cutting through grassland to maintain herd contact. Beyond sound, they use scent trails from interdigital glands on their feet, combined with urine and dung to delineate territory and reinforce social bonds. When danger strikes, the herd forms a defensive circle by instinct calves at the center, adults facing outward. The movement resembles a tornado, sweeping across the flooded plain, visually striking, yet deeply strategic. Without a single leader, they rely on constant mutual observation. Ethologists call it swarm intelligence, a biological mechanism allowing response to threats as a unified organism. At the end of the wet season, breeding begins. After approximately 8.5 months of gestation, females give birth just as the grassland starts to dry. Wider sight lines across drying plains, sharpened predator detection timing birth to terrain is no accident. Within minutes of birth, a calf stands. Shortly after, it runs alongside its mother, a biological imperative for a species whose life is defined by perpetual motion. The wildebeest is the tireless gardener of the savanna. By cropping short grass, they create space for taller grasses and shrubs to flourish elsewhere. Continuous movement supports soil regeneration and nutrient cycling. When an individual falls, its body does not mark an ending. It triggers countless new food chains. The last breath of a wildebeest continues to sustain lions, vultures, and the very earth itself. If this migration has captivated you, share with WildVerse in the comments. What makes Liuwa so remarkable to you? Alongside the wildebeest, plains zebra appear in impressive numbers during the wet season, thousands converging from the park's edges toward the center seeking fresh grass. Unlike the wildebeest's strategic endurance, zebra rely on rigid social structure and keen observational skills to survive. They live in small, stable units called harems, one dominant stallion, several mares, and their foals. This is the fundamental building block of zebra society. Each individual carries a completely unique stripe pattern, like a fingerprint, no two alike. Science has studied their thermoregulatory potential through air convection between heat-absorbing dark and heat-reflecting light zones. Stripes also create visual confusion for blood-sucking insects, making landing difficult, a subtle evolutionary advantage few species possess. Adults weigh between 485 and 660 pounds, standing 4 to 4.5 feet at the shoulder. Gestation lasts 12 to 13 months. Foals are born at the end of the wet season, when grass remains abundant. Within minutes, a newborn stands and follows its mother, instant adaptation for a life defined by movement. When danger appears, the lead stallion immediately intervenes, blocking the formation or attracting the predator's attention to buy time for the group's escape. Bonds within each harem are maintained through mutual grooming, body contact, and a complex signaling system, from resonant barks to subtle ear and tail movements. When food is plentiful and the plains stretch wide, multiple harems merge into larger aggregations, bolstering safety in numbers and forming formidable migratory forces. High above, against the open vault of sky, another pair of wings silently patrols the white-backed vulture. With wingspans from 6.5 to 7.5 feet and weight up to 16 pounds, they are the silent biological stewards of the entire ecosystem. The distinctive white back, most visible with wings, spread along with a bare head and neck, permits deep immersion into carcasses without infection risk. During the dry season, when herbivore mortality spikes from dehydration, the white-backed vulture's role becomes more critical than ever. They converge in flocks of hundreds, capable of stripping a medium-sized carcass clean in under an hour. An extraordinarily powerful digestive system neutralizes disease-causing bacteria without harm, a vital function preventing epidemics across wildlife populations. Historical population estimates stood at approximately 270,000. Today, the white-backed vulture has declined over 80%, classified critically endangered by the IUCN. The primary cause: poisoning from pesticide, contaminated carcasses, veterinary drugs like diclofenac, or deliberate baiting intended for predators. They are collateral victims in a war not aimed at them. Below, on water-reflecting sky, another figure emerges. The African fish eagle, Zambia's national bird symbol of freedom, strength, and untamed spirit. With a wingspan of nearly 8 feet, it is light enough to glide effortlessly above marshes, yet powerful enough to strike in a fraction of a second with absolute precision. Feet lined with small hook-like spines grip slippery fish even mid-flight, then carry the catch hundreds of feet back to the nest without pause. They maintain a lifelong monogamous bond. Each year they return to the same nest, a massive construction of dry branches spanning and rising over 6 feet, anchored in large riverside trees. The wet season is not only prime hunting time, but also marks the breeding season. Yet the fish eagle does not limit itself to self-caught prey when opportunity arises. It robs food from herons and egrets, a behavior called kleptoparasitism. As rains pour and marshes swell, a new symphony begins waterbirds. Liuwa hosts over 300 bird species, but during the wet season, a few stand above all. The grey-crowned crane, standing approximately 3 feet 3 inches tall, wingspan reaching 6.5 feet, crowned by a golden plume. The only crane species capable of perching in trees, thanks to a long hind toe, an evolutionary inheritance from tree-dwelling ancestors. Their courtship ritual is among nature's most spectacular dances, bowing, spreading wings, leaping into the air, culminating in a ceremonial bow, a declaration of love requiring no sound. They maintain enduring monogamous bonds, sharing responsibilities of raising young and defending territory. Outside breeding season, grey-crowned cranes gather in large flocks, sometimes 150 strong. According to the IUCN, the grey-crowned crane is classified endangered global population only 20,000 to nearly 25,000 mature individuals, declining due to wetland loss, pollution, and illegal trade. Beside them, the saddle-billed stork, one of Africa's tallest wading birds, standing nearly 5 feet with wingspan, exceeding 8 feet steps quietly through the shallows. Its deep red bill, with a bright yellow saddle near the base, is not merely identification, but a specialized hunting tool, 71% guided by vision and the remainder by refined tactile sensitivity. And the great egret, pristine white plumage, long dark legs, stands motionless for minutes amid shallow water. Then a yellow spear-like bill strikes forward with near instantaneous speed. Patience is its most sophisticated weapon. At this moment, Liuwa's ecosystem operates like a complete symphony, each species an instrument, each season a movement. But the symphony is not always played to completion. In 2024, Zambia endured its most devastating drought in over 2 decades, a direct consequence of increasingly extreme El Niño events driven by global climate change. Rainfall plummeted. Marshes dried ahead of schedule. Natural food sources collapsed, pushing both wildlife and human communities into extreme hardship. On February 29, 2024, the Zambian government declared a national disaster. 84 of 116 districts were affected, including the western province, home to Liuwa Plain. As water retreated from grasslands and rivers ran dry, the pressure of survival weighed on wildlife and humans alike. Many community members who protect Liuwa, those on the front lines of conservation, also fell into severe hardship. The Barotse Community Resource Board coordinated with 10 action groups, deploying a $250,000 relief program. Food supplies were distributed to 100 households across 10 of the most severely affected communities. What is unfolding at Liuwa is part of a larger story. Climate change is redefining the planet. The fate of Liuwa, like so many ecosystems, depends directly on decisions humans are making right now. But Liuwa does not surrender. African Parks has managed this land since 2003, over 20 years of sustained partnership with the Zambia Wildlife Authority and the Barotse Royal Establishment. The successful reintroduction of keystone species, lions, buffalo, African wild dogs, marked a turning point for the ecosystem. Not only did they survive, they bred successfully, proof of nature's capacity for recovery when given proper protection. Over 95% of Liuwa's conservation workforce are local community members. Camera traps and GPS tracking combined with indigenous knowledge have built a sustainable monitoring model where humans and nature find balance. The annual migration of 45,000 wildebeest continues to mark the unchanging biological rhythm of the floodplain. Every footstep fertilizes the grass, encourages the return of hundreds of rare bird species, and restores the chain of ecological balance. Protecting wild nature is not merely preserving biodiversity. It is also safeguarding climate stability and the ecological future for generations yet to come. And as night returns over Liuwa Plain, in the familiar darkness where every story began, a footstep lands on the earth. Gentle, precise, silent. The leopard, the silent sovereign, continues its patrol, a solitary force that never needs to declare dominion, only to exist. It drags its kill high into a tree beyond the reach of scavengers below. In the wet season, when water washes away scent markers on the ground, it marks territory with claw scratches on bark and a low growl cutting through the darkness. Each litter typically includes 1 to 3 cubs. They remain hidden for the first weeks, and hunting training does not begin until approximately 4 months of age. According to the IUCN, the leopard is classified vulnerable populations declining from human-wildlife conflict, poaching, and habitat loss. But here at Liuwa, under African Parks protection, the species still finds sanctuary. This land belongs to no one. It belongs to every footstep that has crossed it, and every one that will. The last migration is not a migration that ends everything. It is the migration every species must complete so that life continues. Thank you for journeying with WildVerse. The natural world still holds countless stories waiting to be told. See you on the next expedition. At the heart of Europe, a kingdom of ice and stone rises to meet the sky. The Alps, a name rooted in ancient Latin echoing the color white, like eternal crowns of snow reaching toward the heavens. At this altitude, the air turns thin and merciless, where howling winds cut through rock like blades. This is the throne of a true sovereign, the golden eagle. With eyes 8 times sharper than human vision and a wingspan exceeding 7 feet, it commands absolute dominion over the skies. Above the peak surpassing 13,000 feet, the golden eagle patrols vast territories, scanning every cliff face with eyes that miss nothing. When a target is spotted, it folds its wings and plunges at speeds exceeding 150 miles per hour, faster than any supercar on the ground. But just beneath this monarch, on sheer vertical walls, another confrontation unfolds in silence. Alpine chamois, those gravity-defying gladiators, cling to the precarious boundary between life and oblivion. Their secret lies in extraordinary hooves. Hard outer rims grip rock like crampons, while soft inner pads mold to the surface like professional climbing shoes. In this realm, the summit belongs not to the swiftest, but to those who possess absolute balance. These great fortresses of stone were forged across tens of millions of years of geological history. Roughly 100 million years ago, the African plate began its slow drift northward, gradually squeezing the ancient Tethys Ocean shut. The most violent phase of collision occurred approximately 35 million years ago, when 2 continental masses crushed ocean sediments and thrust them skyward. That tectonic upheaval gave birth to one of the most formidable mountain systems on Earth. Switzerland, guardian of the Alps' very soul, is home to 48 peaks rising above 13,000 feet. The Dufospitze stands at 15,203 feet, the highest point in all of Switzerland, towering above a sea of clouds. And the Matterhorn, the world's most iconic mountain, rises like a perfect pyramid against the blue sky. This is a land where time itself seems frozen between ice and stone. Welcome to WildVerse, where we explore the most extraordinary secrets the natural world has to offer. And this is the Alps, a kingdom where life writes its story across the highest peaks of Europe, through 4 of the harshest seasons on the planet. When summer arrives at the high peaks of the Swiss Alps, a great transformation begins to awaken from within the ice. The snow fortresses blanketing much of Swiss territory now begin to melt, unleashing energy held captive through the long winter months. Meltwater from mighty glaciers, like the Aletsch and Morteratsch, cascades down vertical rock faces, creating ribbons of silver and flooding valleys with renewed vitality. At lower elevations, temperatures settle into an ideal range of 50 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Delivering warmth and abundant nutrition to the entire ecosystem. Descending into the subalpine zone, from 5,000 to 6,500 feet, the landscape shifts from barren grey rock to dense forests of spruce and fir. This is the domain of giants, where nature's majesty is embodied in the silhouette of the red deer. Beneath the ancient forest canopy, a mature stag weighing 400 to 500 pounds steps into a pool of sunlight, asserting his dominance across the mountain slopes. Summer is a nutritional race with no finish line. Every individual must seize each hour of daylight to consume vast quantities of fresh grass and young leaves, rebuilding muscle strength after a winter of deprivation. The towering antlers crowning the males are at their fastest growth phase, organic weapons sheathed in soft velvet, laced with blood vessels that fuel their development. They exploit the lush meadows nourished by glacial meltwater, where every blade of grass holds the energy for the power struggles ahead. Deep in the shade of the pine forest, fawns follow their mothers in silence, taking their very first steps into the world. Their safety depends entirely on the dense canopy overhead and the guiding instincts of their mothers to evade the sharp eyes of predators. But the red deer is not the only creature writing its summer story in the Alps. While the larger mammals feast upon the green banquet, a different kind of commotion unfolds across the forest edge meadows. The red fox, a cunning and opportunistic hunting specialist, enters the busiest hours of her year. For a vixen, summer is not merely a time to hunt, but a rigorous training course for her young. Fox cubs venture outside the den for the first time, timid yet brimming, with curiosity about the vibrant world around them. Under their mother's watchful eye, they begin learning to stalk voles, lizards, and insects concealed beneath the thick grass. The vixen teaches her young to use their acute hearing to detect the faintest sounds beneath the earth, a skill that will determine their survival. With the ability to leap 3 feet from a standing position, red foxes execute precise pounces from above onto hidden prey. Scientists have uncovered a remarkable secret. When hunting in deep snow or tall grass, red foxes preferentially leap in a north-northeastern direction. They may be using the Earth's magnetic field as a natural compass to pinpoint the exact location of prey hidden below. They are the most versatile omnivores of the mountain range, readily supplementing their diet with wild berries and forest fruits to maximize their reserves for winter. Family life for the foxes in summer is a symphony of learning, where every misstep can exact a fatal price. The vibrant energy of the subalpine zone on these summer days is the clearest proof that life always finds its way back. Yet, vigilance is never wasted here, for in this world, the hunter can become the hunted in the blink of an eye. And beneath that vibrancy, another drama quietly unfolds under the pine canopy. As summer sunlight filters through the dense forest canopy, the roe deer, the red deer's smaller but spirited cousin, enters the most intense period of its year. Weighing just 40 to 65 pounds, they possess remarkable agility and resilience to navigate the green labyrinth of the mountains. Summer is not merely a time for foraging. For the bucks, this marks the peak of the rut, stretching from mid-July through late August. They chase each other ceaselessly through the undergrowth, rubbing their small but razor-sharp antlers against tree trunks to mark territory and attract mates. Their sharp barking calls shatter the forest silence, an effort to assert strength and establish standing within the population. But the most remarkable secret is hidden within the doe's body. The embryo lies dormant in the womb, suspended in development until December. This mechanism, known as embryonic diapause, ensures that fawns will be born at the most advantageous moment, the following spring, when food is most abundant. To fuel these exhausting confrontations, they exploit the rich vegetation of young leaves and nutritious buds flourishing everywhere. While the males are consumed by competition, the da's attend to a sacred duty, protecting the next generation. Roe deer mothers typically give birth to 1 to 3 fawns and conceal them carefully in dense brush or tall grass to evade the eyes of prowling predators. To avoid the heat of day, roe deer prefer dawn or dusk for their activities, precisely the most dangerous hours. For in this verdant realm, every movement falls under the surveillance of a supremely powerful entity. That entity is the Eurasian lynx, the largest wildcat in all of Europe. Weighing 40 to 70 pounds and measuring 3 to 4 feet in body length, it is a hunting machine honed by millions of years of evolution. That imposing stature is more than sufficient to overpower prey as large as roe deer or chamois, making it the undisputed apex predator of the alpine forests. The lynx's secret weapon lies not in its claws or brute force, but in its uniquely broad paws. These paws function as natural sound dampeners, allowing it to move in perfect silence across steep rock and dry leaf litter alike. The lynx is a true phantom. It typically conceals itself in the deepest shadows of the pine forest, patiently awaiting dusk to begin its hunt. The fading light of twilight is its ally, masking its subtle movements as it stalks and closes in on prey. For any roe deer or chamois savoring the abundance of summer, the sudden appearance of a lynx is the last thing they will ever perceive. One lightning strike, one moment of absolute precision, the lynx never wastes energy on futile attempts. The presence of this apex predator plays a vital role in maintaining the delicate equilibrium of the entire alpine ecosystem. Summer in the subalpine zone is therefore not merely a feast of life and color, but a chess match where every move carries consequence. The strong dominate through muscle, but the lynx rules through silence and supreme patience. Every breath beneath the ancient Swiss forests carries both hope and fear, the most primal essence of this land. As the brilliant summer days draw to a close, the Alps begin a mesmerizing transition. The conifer forests and high meadows are now illuminated by blazing hues of red, orange, and gold, transforming the entire landscape into a living canvas where nature and time converge. Rains begin to fall more frequently, heralding the end of the warm months. The air turns cooler, plant growth decelerates, and wild creatures quickly sense the urgent approach of winter. Autumn brings a gradual but vital metamorphosis, as every resident of this realm must prepare for the severe trials ahead. In this scramble, the red squirrel becomes the very emblem of industry, as food harvesting becomes the highest priority. They devote most of their time to gathering pine cones, chestnuts, and seeds from conifers and deciduous trees. Armed with exceptional spatial memory, red squirrels can recall precisely where they have buried food underground or tucked it into tree hollows. Yet a portion of these seeds is never retrieved, inadvertently germinating and becoming new saplings, transforming the squirrel into the Alps' greatest accidental forester. A fully grown adult weighs less than a pound, but will gain significant weight from autumn's abundant food supply to brace itself against the cold. Meanwhile, at higher elevations, the alpine marmot also enters its most intense period of activity. They feed constantly on grass, roots, and seeds to accumulate a thick layer of fat for a hibernation that stretches from October through April. Simultaneously, they excavate and repair burrow systems reaching depths of 10 feet, lined with dry leaves and grass to insulate the family. During hibernation, a marmot's body temperature plummets to just 39 to 46 degrees Fahrenheit. Its heartbeat slows to near stillness, and it rouses only once every 10 days to prevent freezing. Living in family groups, they share underground tunnel networks and maintain sentinel posts to detect threats. Piercing alarm whistles ring out the instant they spot the shadow of a golden eagle or a prowling Eurasian lynx. Autumn also marks a period of concern surrounding a highly adaptive newcomer, the raccoon, a species native to North America that has quietly spread into Switzerland, particularly across the country's northwestern regions. They focus on stockpiling energy through a diverse diet, from small animals and berries to seeds, exploiting every available resource. Their signature behavior is washing food with their front paws in water, a habit that aids in processing their meals more efficiently. The rapid proliferation of raccoons poses mounting challenges to native species through fierce competition for resources and disease transmission risks. On the high rock faces, Autumn's most ferocious power struggle begins as male alpine ibex return to the herds. Males rear up on their hind legs and charge, the thunderous clash of horns weighing up to 33 pounds echoing across the valleys. The rut extends from late November through January, and only the strongest victors earn the right to pass on their genes. The predator's shadow grows more fearsome as the Eurasian lynx expands its hunting territory, exploiting the distraction of prey consumed by the urgency of fattening up. With broad paws enabling silent movement across any terrain, the lynx is autumn's most dreaded spectre. Overhead, a great migration commences as thousands of European goldfinches and hawfinches wing southward, leaving the skies empty. The glaciers of Switzerland, the very soul of the Alps, begin drawing their white mantle back on as the sun weakens. Autumn in the Alps is not merely a change of color, but a race for survival. Every chestnut stashed away, every layer of fat accumulated, is a ticket to endure the coming winter. When the first snowflakes begin to fall, the race concludes to make way for the absolute silence of the frost. And only those who are prepared most thoroughly will have a chance to see the sun of the following spring. If you find the struggle for survival in the Alps as fascinating as we do, share your thoughts in the comments below. From November through March, a white and frigid curtain descends, sealing the Alps into a kingdom besieged by ice. At the loftiest summits, temperatures can plunge to -22 degrees Fahrenheit, turning the air into blades that test every limit of survival. Beneath the proud Matterhorn, snow piles 13 feet deep, swallowing all traces of life and rendering the landscape a silent white desert. The magnificent waterfalls of the Lauterbrunnen Valley, thundering in summer, are now nothing but colossal pillars of ice hanging mute against cliffs nearly 1,000 feet high. In this world of white death, silence is not peace, it is the most ferocious struggle of all. In the highest glacial zones, where the boundary between mountain and sky dissolves, a white phantom hides flawlessly among the rock crevices, the rock ptarmigan. This bird is the last living relic of the Ice Age, having endured for millions of years on peaks ranging from 6,200 to 8,900 feet. To survive winter, it performs a miraculous transformation, replacing its grey-brown plumage with a coat of pure, immaculate white, one of 3 annual molts. This winter plumage is twice as dense as its summer coat, serving as a perfect suit of thermal armor against the bone-cutting cold. The rock ptarmigan shelters near large boulders to escape the wind and minimizes all activity, conserving every precious calorie. They excavate small tunnels in the snow, searching for the last remaining roots and buds to sustain a fragile warmth. When darkness engulfs the frozen world, another predator begins its soundless patrol from abandoned farmhouse rooftops in the lowlands, the barn owl. While most creatures are blinded by the darkness and snow, this owl sees and hears what the rest of the world overlooks. Its secret weapon lies in asymmetrical ears, one positioned higher than the other, combined with a heart-shaped facial disc that functions as a parabolic antenna for collecting sound. This structure allows the barn owl to locate prey in 3-dimensional space, using sound alone, even in absolute darkness. Even when voles hide beneath the snow, the barn owl detects the faintest rustle and plunges from the air, punching through the soft snow with powerful talons. Beneath the snow-laden spruce forests of the subalpine zone, a larger dark shape moves silently through the deep drifts, the grey wolf. Once extinct here, this predator has returned from Italy over the high mountain passes, steadily re-establishing the order of the apex predators. To withstand temperatures of -4 degrees Fahrenheit, the grey wolf possesses a specialized double coat, a soft inner layer trapping heat like sheep's wool, and long outer guard hairs deflecting wind and snow. The wolf's greatest enemy is not the cold, but the gnawing hunger that comes when prey grows desperately scarce. They form elite packs of 4 to 6 individuals, patrolling vast territories for any trace of red deer or chamois. In winter, deep snow becomes the wolf's unexpected ally. It slows the heavy-footed herbivores, while the wolf's broad paws distribute its weight across the surface. Grey wolves track their quarry with unrelenting patience, employing encirclement tactics to drive prey into the deepest snowdrifts and drain their stamina. The wolf's return has begun to recalibrate herbivore populations, allowing alpine vegetation to recover in ways that humans alone could never achieve. On the frigid waters of Lake Geneva and Lake Thun, another scene unfolds with quiet majesty, the steadfast resilience of the mute swan. Though the lake surface is partially frozen over, the remaining open water serves as a final fortress for these regal birds. Swans deploy their considerable size and dense, waterproof plumage to maintain stable body temperature amid water as cold as stone. The secret that prevents them from freezing while standing on ice lies in a counter-current heat exchange system within their legs. Warm blood, flowing from the heart downward, heats the cold blood returning from the feet like two rivers running in opposite directions, exchanging warmth, preventing excessive heat loss, and protecting vital organs. Though aquatic vegetation grows scarce, the swans persist in foraging for whatever nourishment remains beneath the frigid lake. Winter in the Alps is nature's most brutal examination, where death lurks in every gust of wind. Every creature from the rock ptarmigan on the heights, to the barn owl in the night, to the grey wolf packs in the deep forest must adapt or be eliminated. In that absolute stillness, every breath is a victory. Every day of survival is a miracle. They wait, silent and enduring, until the spring sun grows strong enough to shatter winter's grip. For beneath 13 feet of snow, the pulse of life has never truly ceased. It has merely drawn inward, waiting to erupt once more. When March arrives, the Alpine Kingdom begins to shed its white cloak and step into a great resurrection. From the highest summits, ice and snow begin to melt under the sun's growing power, and water as pure as diamond flows from the glaciers, threading through rock crevices to return to the valleys. Temperatures climb gradually from 36 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, breathing fresh vitality into every fiber of the mountain landscape. Lush meadows of velvet green grass stretch toward the sun, heralding the beginning of a new cycle of life and hope. In valleys like Zermatt and Lauterbrunnen, the Staubach waterfall, nearly 1,000 feet tall, roars back to life against a backdrop of fresh green. Beneath the crystal-clear lakes, the returning warmth triggers the proliferation of small fish, opening a grand feast for water birds. This is the moment to witness one of nature's most romantic love dances, the courtship ritual of the great crested grebe. They enter the breeding season with mesmerizing displays, in which pairs face each other and stretch their elegant necks skyward. In perfect synchrony, they glide across the water as a single entity diving deep, resurfacing with weed in their bills, then rushing toward each other in an upright dance upon the waves. Once bonded, pairs collaborate in building floating nests of grass and plant material in the shallows near shore. Each nest will cradle 3 to 4 eggs, attended in turn by both parents who share the duty of protection and incubation amid the cool waters. From distant southern lands, a noble visitor bearing exotic beauty also returns, the hoopoe. With resplendent plumage and a crest that fans open like a royal crown, it becomes a vivid highlight against the subalpine landscape. The Lake Lugano region, with its warm climate and plentiful insects, serves as the ideal landing ground for their breeding season. The young will be devotedly cared for by both parents for 26 to 29 days before they are fully feathered and ready to begin independent life. But the most powerful resurrection unfolds upon the vertical cliffs, where the line between life and death is measured in inches. For the alpine chamois, spring is a season of new beginnings, harsh, yet brimming with promise. Chamois kids are born right on precarious rock ledges, where the cold still lingers in the mountain wind's breath. Within hours of birth, these tiny creatures must master their very first lesson, climbing sheer rock faces on small legs, carrying the instincts of a born mountaineer. Their mothers always choose the most secluded spots to give birth, minimizing the threat from golden eagles and Eurasian lynx that are ever on the watch. Beneath the subalpine canopy, roe deer also quietly welcome a new generation as the embryos that lay dormant all winter now develop fully. Roe deer mothers hide their fawns deep in brush or tall grass, and the newborns lie in perfect stillness, relying on flawless camouflage to survive their earliest weeks. Spring in the Alps is not merely a shift in weather, it is an epic of resurrection and an indomitable will to endure. Beneath the majestic and seemingly immutable facade of the Alps, a quiet but devastating change is underway. The glaciers, the frozen heart of the European continent, are vanishing at an unprecedented pace. In the year 2022 alone, Switzerland lost 6% of its ice volume, a grievous record, followed by another 4% the next year, totaling 10% in just 2 years. As these strongholds melt, they leave behind not only bare rock, but the shattered hopes of countless species. The rock ptarmigan, dependent on deep snow for camouflage, now becomes an exposed target when the snow retreats too early. Its population has declined by roughly 1/3 since the mid-1990s. Alpine chamois and ibex are forced to retreat to ever higher peaks in search of the cold they require, where food is scarce and living space contracts. The human footprint from gleaming ski resorts to sprawling cable car networks has fractured the migration corridors of red deer and chamois. Even the storied rivers are suffering, with summer flows declining markedly as their source glaciers disappear, threatening native alpine brown trout. Yet in the shadow of this crisis, hope still glimmers. At the Morteratsch Glacier, enormous white geotextile blankets are draped over the ice like bandages, reducing melt by up to 50% each year. The spectacular recovery of the Eurasian lynx since 1971 stands as proof that humans can heal the wounds they have inflicted upon nature. From roughly 25 to 30 individuals initially released into the Swiss forests, the phantom of the Alps has returned, helping restore balance to the wild ecosystem. And the story of the alpine ibex is even more remarkable. Once on the very brink of extinction, every ibex in the Alps today descends from a tiny population protected at Gran Paradiso, Italy. From the edge of oblivion, they have reclaimed the highest cliffs of Europe, a resounding triumph of conservation. The future of the Alps does not reside in dry scientific reports, but in the awakening and responsibility of each one of us. Every small action, from choosing ecotourism to participating in environmental protection, is a drop of cool water nourishing life. On the snow-covered peaks, the golden eagle still soars, its wingspan of more than 7 feet, cutting across the deep blue sky, as if to remind us that this kingdom among the clouds is still breathing. The wheel of nature turns once more, full of challenge yet overflowing with the purest beauty of creation. And the story of the Alps, a story of ice, stone, blood, and life, will continue to be written, so long as snow still crowns the peaks, and the cry of the eagle echoes through the heights. Every creature carries within it an extraordinary story. WildVerse will continue to bring you those stories if you haven't subscribed yet. Now is the perfect time. Have you ever felt the breath of the mountains, or stood in silent awe before the beauty of ice-capped peaks? Share your story to help WildVerse spread the message of protecting this precious heritage.